to episode 4 of season 5 of Talk the Talk Rio Grande Valley Stars. I'm your host, Alex Arabia, along with my co-host,
Medina.
And today we have another outstanding individual from the Valley, an educator. You've worn many hats and you've done a lot of things for the community and for the Valley. And today we'll be learning more about your background, and you're going to give advice to people who want to follow in your footsteps.
Okay.
You'll elaborate on obstacles, achievements, and also mention your future goals. So please welcome J.A.R. Torres to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. We're super excited to have you.
And you have a very impressive biography. You've done many things. An educator. You had many roles on that capacity. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, actually I retired from education, not retired from education, but retired from public education about a year and a half ago. I had a 42-year career in education, and I'm really proud to say all of my 42 years were spent with the Edinburgh School District. And I did have many roles there, and starting off with my teaching role. When I first came, it was in 1977, to the Valley and to teaching. I began as a basketball coach. Actually, I coached volleyball, basketball, and track.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Even though I went to Edinburgh, I didn't know that.
I started off with Edinburgh High as a coach, and actually I was hired to come open the basketball program along with another lady, Castilla Garcia, who was going to be the head coach. We opened the basketball program for girls in Edinburgh, for the Edinburgh School District. That was the time of Title IX, which was a governmental action that required school districts to offer women's sports if they were going to have the congruent sport in men's, for the men, offered for the men, then women's equality, right?
Yes.
But they needed to offer for women, and since I had played basketball in college, I went on a basketball/academic scholarship to Texas State University in San Marcos, Southwest Texas State at that time. So I was, I think at the time, one of the few women who knew how to play the full court basketball. Because back then, way back then, right before you guys, they would play what we called half court basketball. And so I played the full court, up and down. And so came here in '77 to Edinburgh Schools as a founding.
You were teaching and coaching at the same time?
Yes, I was.
What subject did you teach?
I was teaching PE back then. I taught PE and I coached for 7 years. And then I think one of the most important and most beautiful moments of my life came along, and that was when we had our daughter, Jennifer. Jennifer Olmeda, yes.
We worked with her because we co-hosted a film festival this summer. Because, by the way, Eva is also the mother-in-law of our producer, Joey Olmeda.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, you can always say hi to Jennifer. Sometimes we always have like the sons and daughters saying hi to their parents.
Yes.
Now we're having the parents saying hi to their child, so it's awesome.
Well, great. Well,
And you're wonderful.
Yeah, right. And to my husband, I'm very blessed that I have an educator for a husband as well. My husband taught elementary for about almost 30 years with the Edinburgh School District as well. So he was very supportive and understanding from the beginning as far as what my career was going to entail and the amount of time and effort that I put into it, because
Both of you could relate
absolutely
in that sense.
Absolutely.
So was your undergraduate degree like in kinesiology?
It was kinesiology and English. So after I coached for 7 years and Jennifer came along, I thought, okay, it's time to get out of the coaching, and I went into the classroom and I taught English.
For how many years did you teach English?
I taught English for 16 years, coached for 7 years. So together I was a teacher coach for 23 years. And honestly, Alex, I think that is and continues to be the strength that I have, and that I'm very proud of. That I've been in the classroom, I've been in different capacities in the classroom. I'm teaching English at different levels, from our students that are more challenged all the way to our advanced placement students who are taking college level courses, and then also the PE and the coaching. really gave me an understanding and respect of what teachers, whatever role they have in the classroom, whether it's out in the field, on the court, or in the classroom, they're influencing kids.
Yeah.
And so it really gave me that overall perspective of education. I taught English for 23, well, not English, I taught English for 17 years, and then together with the PE and the coaching, it's a total of 23 years in the classroom. And I think every aspiring administrator needs to have that experience in the classroom. And they need to remember it.
Yes.
Never forget what it's like to be in the classroom.
So when did the transition go from teaching to, becoming a principal? Or a founding principal, for a couple of schools, right?
Right, yes.
Could you elaborate on that?
Sure.
Did you go back to school like for a master's and a PhD?
Yes. I went back to school for a master's. I got my master's back then somewhere along the way. And then I ended up with my PhD. Not my PhD, it's actually an EDD. It's a doctorate in education under educational leadership. So my doctorate, I think, has been really a challenge and at the same time something that I did for myself and for my children, for my kids, everybody. I think it's something I wanted to do as a means of showing that there's so much out there that can be accomplished if we have the tenacity and if we have the discipline to do it.
Exactly. So you've been a founding principal of a couple of schools, assistant superintendent for curriculum. You also were an adjunct faculty at RGB?
Yes,
UTRGB. Anything else you want to add to that you haven't mentioned to the list?
No, it's all been beautiful. I've loved every minute of it.
You've had so many roles. What do you think has been the most rewarding for you?
Wow. I think every role that I've had has had its beautiful blessings and its wonderful moments. Most rewarding, I love teaching English. I love being in the classroom. It's gratifying. It's beautiful to see children relate to the literature, understand what it means in their life, and use examples from literature to then apply to their own future goals and to their own problems and to their own understandings of society and the way people work. So I love being a teacher.
The direct contact with students is rewarding.
Absolutely.
I'm a professor at STC.
Yeah.
And you always see the students everywhere.
Yes.
Restaurants, stores, always
Absolutely.
saying hi.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
rewarding to impact their life in a positive way. So congratulations
Thank you.
on that long career.
Thank you. Well, I went from the teaching into administration. My first little jaunt into administration actually was as the Dean of Instruction at Edinburgh North High School, and I think that's where I knew you.
That's where I met you.
That's right, at Edinburgh North High School with fantastic cougars like
Yes,
you.
go Cougars.
And Joey over there, and so many, right? But
Was that like in the year 2000 or more or less?
Yeah, well, I graduated in the year 2000, a year earlier than Joey.
So late 90s.
Yeah, the late 90s.
So I was the Dean of Instruction there, and that was a new position that Edinburgh School District created the year that I took it. So I don't know, in my life there's been many firsts.
Yeah.
And so for the Edinburgh School District, my principal, when I was teaching at the time at North, kept wanting me to go in as an assistant principal or whatever. I'm like, I don't know about that, right? And then he said, well, they're creating a new position. It's the Dean of Instruction. And your job will be specifically to focus on the instructional aspect of what kids are doing in the classroom, but also what teachers are doing to bring relevance and importance and understanding to their material as they present to kids. And so in a way, teaching teachers the strategies and the different ways to analyze information and be able to make it comprehensible to the students. And so I thought that was intriguing, and I thought, okay, I can go for that, right? And so I became the Dean of Instruction at North.
Any obstacles that you encountered through your career that you could highlight, and what did you do to overcome that?
Wow. Honestly, I've loved my career and I've had a great time with it. I think if there were major obstacles, I can't even remember them, Isaac, because they just, when things come up that may be adversarial, or when things come up that may be, a gate that's gonna close on you, well, you just step up and open it. You deal with it and you move forward. I really can't say in my career there were any obstacles that I faced that seemed, to be overwhelming. Prior to my career in high school and as I grew up, there were things that were, I would consider, obstacles. And those actually I addressed in my dissertation. When I did my dissertation for my doctoral degree, I did it on the social and cultural factors that affected young Hispanic women as we moved into careers. Y'all need to remember that you all are old enough to be, here, but young enough I could be your grandma probably. And so I grew up in a time during which young Hispanic females were not expected to go into a career, much less end up with a doctorate and being, an assistant superintendent as an example, in charge of
Leadership positions.
Yeah, positions that were, it was just not expected. And so as I grew up, I think those were things that I did feel were obstacles because I initially, when I went to school, I don't feel I was prepared to move not only necessarily into the college level, but actually into a real strong career. I was being prepared to be what young Hispanic women of the,
And trailblazing.
60s, 70s were,
Trailblazing, being that leader and that example for the future.
Leading the way. And then Jennifer, your daughter, also is a teacher.
Yes, and well, we're a family of teachers, and I love it. I'm blessed with my family. They're amazing. Like I mentioned, my husband is, my #1 supporter in my profession, and a teacher himself in the elementary, very successful. My daughter Jennifer, teaching at Edinburgh North now, come back to her alma mater, and she's teaching advanced placement courses and doing really extremely well. I'm so proud of her. She's working on her master's and working towards educational leadership as well.
And she's very active with activities as well, right? Like UIL, extracurricular activities.
Yeah, she does UIL, mock trial, and a number of things.
So Dr.
Do you have
Torres,
other children, or is it just Jennifer?
I also have another daughter, Virginia. Okay, and
do I
Virginia.
know Virginia? I don't think she's the younger one, right?
She's the younger
Yeah,
one.
okay.
She's the
I don't think I
younger
ever met her. I think maybe I've seen her a couple of times in pictures, but I thought it was just Jennifer.
No, our younger daughter Virginia. She lives in Ohio and she teaches for VIP Kids and online teaching curriculum.
Another educator.
Another educator, right? Yes, and actually she'll be here tomorrow, coming in from Ohio to attend, not necessarily attend, she is going to be part of the commencement exercises for UTRGV. She'll be getting a master's in creative writing.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
To you
So,
and
so Dr. Torres, what are you doing now, today?
Now, today, well, let's see. There's several things that I've been doing. I've been doing speaker series for some of the UTRGV professors that are having their classes right now for educational leadership. I've gone into several classes and done speakers, been a speaker, done a speaker series for them, particularly on the opening of the schools. That's the main thing. Right now, as the Valley in particular expands and districts are opening new schools to meet the demand of the influx of students coming in. Some of our schools are at 2,000, 2,000 students, and that's crazy. And so we're opening new schools across the Valley in different areas. So part of the educational leadership component for UTRGV, some of the professors are addressing that and saying, some of the students that are aspiring to be principals may someday end up having to open a school. And so I kind of come in as the opener.
Yeah, with the experience as well, opening two schools.
What are your future goals? Where do you see yourself? Because you've done so many things. But in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, what do you want to do?
I suppose continue my work with UTRGV. Right now I'm an adjunct. I am devoting my time to probably my number one priority and the most important people in my life, and those are my grandkids and my family. And I've got 3 grandchildren. We call them 3D, Dean, Dante, and Diego.
I met them, they've come here to the recording session.
Yes, and so I'm devoting yes, hi kids, right?
They're very fun.
Well, I'm devoting right now time to them, making sure that I get to enjoy some of those younger years when they're still little and so adorable and lovable, not that they won't be when they get older, but I think it's so important to establish that relationship.
Early on.
But I do, intend to continue, and like I said, possibly more than likely with UTRGV or as a consultant, and continue with that. I think the UTRGV is particularly appealing because I've already done some adjunct work with them. I got my doctorate there at UTRGV, and again, they've expressed those interests in my bringing the experiences of opening the schools. And it's quite an endeavor to open a school. It's very different from walking into one that's already established. And so that will be a big part of what I bring to the table.
Wow. What year did you get the doctorate?
The doctorate 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So is there any advice that you would give to maybe teachers who want to pursue a career in administration or follow in your footsteps? Any advice that you would like to give them?
Never forget what it's like to be a teacher. If they're wanting to continue and move up into the administrative levels and go into the principalship and to a superintendency or whatever, I think the most important thing, and I mean not that I think, I know, the most important thing, really, what schools are about, it's about the kids and it's about the teachers.
Yeah.
And as administrators, we can say and ask and do whatever, but where the rubber hits the road is in the classroom. And regardless of what goal we have, regardless of what our intention is, our bottom measure of success is whether the kids have learned or not. And so I guess my advice would be always understand it's about the students and the teachers, because that relationship and what goes on in that classroom is ultimately what's going to determine whether we're successful or not.
Are there things that we can do as a community organizers to help, support those teachers?
Well, I think you said it right there, to support and help the teachers, The curriculum as we move forward has become more challenging. The curriculum as we move forward has become more advanced, but then look at us as a society. And I think that parents need to understand that we're trying to prepare kids for a future that we can hardly even envision. When I was young, who was to envision the cell phone and the computer and the things that we have right now? And if you think of those young kids, we're preparing them for a future that we can only possibly envision. And so we need to embrace the digital age and understand that our kids need to learn and be familiar with everything out there that society and the future and their success is going to demand. And that's a challenge in itself. But I think as parents and as a community is to understand that, the bottom line is to make our kids successful, and it takes a village, as they say.
So working as a team and maybe for the parents to be involved, right?
Absolutely.
Like go to the teacher day and open house and the extracurricular activities,
Right.
be involved.
Yeah, be involved with the kids.
That's awesome. I have one more question that I have to ask. You said this 2 times, that a teacher should not forget that she was a teacher. Why do you say that? Is it when they're moving into administrative roles that they need to remember?
I think that throughout my career, as I've moved from teacher to administrative roles, then obviously when you move into administration, your responsibilities expand to include things like budget, like inventories, like curriculum, the Texas Education Agency's credit requirements, things that are beyond the scope of what a teacher does in the classroom. And so as administrators, when we move into those ranks, we need to take the time to always remember, okay, what's happening in the classrooms with the kids and the teachers, and to make the time to actually go to the classrooms and visit with teachers and know what's happening. Because you can sit in your office and you can get lost in the paperwork and in the things that really, are very important and necessary to keep an organization of that level moving. You need to know budget, you need to know curriculum, you need to know all those things. But again, what is the bottom line? You can't forget about the kids and the
Let's
teachers.
do this.
That's
right. A closing message or remark for our viewers?
Wow, a closing message. I want to say, I guess, if anything, how thankful I am and how blessed I feel for all that has happened in my life that has been made possible by so many people. Starting, like I said, with my husband, my family, my daughters, and the support that I received, my parents, everyone. And then the staff that I've led at the different schools. Like I said, I opened at Barrientos Middle School, I opened Romavilla High School, but the teachers and the staff that we hired were what made those schools successful. And so I guess that's my parting thought or message or whatever it may be, is just to be thankful for the blessings of the many people that supported me and helped me along the way.
Excellent. We thank you for your time. Thank you
Yes,
so much
sir. Thank you.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Torres,
Yes.
we wish you the best.
Thank you
in
so
your
much.
future professional and personal life as well.
Thank you.
And this was episode 4, season 5, Talk to Talk, Rio Grande Valley Stars, Alex Arabia, and
Isaac Medina.
until next time.